good evening. This is Frankly Speaking Live with your host, Frank Holzhauser, and my reluctant co-host tonight, David Kanyuk.
I didn't know I was reluctant cohort tonight.
Well, let's not say reluctant that you're here, but...
I'm full of pea and vinegar, and I haven't had any vinegar.
in a foul mood, much
That's
like
right.
I was this week.
That's right.
And joining us this week after a absence is our producer, Ryan, who is back from his vacation in California. And get on mic there, buddy, and tell us exactly what you were doing with your vacation time.
What I was doing?
Yeah, you was telling...
Every moment.
Conspiring with the government
You
to shut
son
you
of a-
guys down.
you was
Well, they won last week.
you was telling Mac that you was swimming with the fishes, swimming with the whales.
No, I was just swimming in the ocean. We went whale watching. He
Whale
just combined
watching.
with
You
it.
actually saw one.
Yeah, we did. That was pretty sweet.
Yeah.
I actually like the dolphins better, though.
And
was really fun.
would
Well, you're
you,
a whalist.
would you like to live there, or is it just a fun place to visit?
Probably not. The traffic's not as relaxing as it is here in the relaxing Des Moines, Iowa.
Now, while in your absence, we only flipped you a little bit of crap,
That's what you're
just a
telling me.
small amount.
That's
we,
good.
we said that I mentioned that Maddie smells better than you. Now, that's not that you smell bad.
That became a
That's
whole
actually-
thing.
That's actually a
But
compliment.
Maddie come
her.
in like she had fell into the perfume, fell in the perfume vat at the perfume factory.
I'm glad I don't smell as good as her. That would be embarrassing.
Maybe she's a klutz. I mean, if she's fell into a vat of perfume, maybe she's just like bad on her feet. Maybe.
And now we got to flip Maddie some crap because she isn't here.
There you go. There you go.
So, how was your week?
Typical week. Another, yeah.
Enough said.
Enough said right there.
Enough said.
It seemed like a very, very news-heavy week, so it felt like all of my off time was posting articles to my website.
Well, my foul mood is kind of a month long. July seems to be a particularly bad month for me, and I won't go into all the detail, but
Well, that was the month that I was born, Frank, so
Okay.
thanks a lot, guy.
okay. But something hit me especially wrong this week with the Obama and Holder and their periodic flavor for tossing out a racism charge. Kind of got me really ramped up this week. But I'll start this week with, and let me, before I get going, say if you would like to join the conversation, call toll free at area code 855-244-0077 and drop the 855 if you're calling locally.
Yeah, don't be shy. Be my friend. Make me happy.
Yeah, go ahead. Make my day. Anyway, so I'm going to start this week and kick the show off by getting started with my hypocrite of the week early and just go ahead and get that right out of the way.
All right.
And this is, of course, saved over from last week when our show got cut in half by a mysterious power failure. Now, either the cosmos had something to do with that,
Yeah.
or Big Brother in the sky, or just a 10 amp breaker panel.
I'm gonna go with it's the Koch brothers' fault.
Oh,
Koch brothers. Yeah, it's the Koch brothers' fault.
Well, sure, everything else gets blamed on. So Obama isn't interested in photo ops. Oh, really? This guy's whole life in politics has been one huge photo op. From the beer summits to pool summits, selfie summits to Hurricane Sandy summits. This clown never met a photo this camera hog hasn't tried to horn in on. So now it's all about solutions. But he just can't visit the border crisis when he's only miles away. That his policy has invited. Man, what a hypocrite. God, please don't let this communist, terrorist, illegal immigration sympathizer take down this once great nation.
Well, it's too late. It's already down. So no, this is in response to, wasn't this the response to Rick Perry, who invited him about a week or two ago to the border, and he said, no, I'm not interested in what was it, political theater is what he said.
Sure.
I'm not interested in political theater. Later that day, he held a fundraising event at a local Austin, Texas theater, which was a ticketed event. So yeah, he's
the same day. I think he was in a pool playing pool.
Right.
Photo op.
That's all he did was photo ops and political theater. This guy who's not interested in photo ops, and I was telling you about this earlier in the week, but for those of you out there, if you remember the whole Bin Laden raid that occurred, what was that, 2011, 2012? I think that was 2012. Anyway, that's beside the point. So the whole Bin Laden raid episode, and whether you believe that they actually did kill him, even though they produced no evidence that they did so that night, or if you believe that he died 10 years previous of Marfan's disease, as was told to us by Dr. Steve Pachenik, who is one of the leading State Department reps for years and years and years and years. He's like the super spy. He's the person upon whom the character Jack Ryan from the Tom Clancy books was based off of, and he helped co-write those books with Tom Clancy. But I digress. Anyway, do you out there in radio and internet land remember that lovely photograph of the president and Hillary Clinton and Leon Panetta and everybody else in the Situation Room as they were watching the brave Navy SEALs invade that compound, and they were taking a look at this at the live feed footage, and Hillary had her hand over her mouth like, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe what I'm seeing." Turns out Leon Panetta, 2 days later, I believe in the London Telegraph, admits in an interview that the feed actually got cut. They didn't see anything. The feed got cut after they landed. They didn't see the penetration into the compound. They didn't see them take out Bin Laden. They just received word over the radio that they had gotten him. So even they have plausible deniability on this. But the point of the matter is that photo was faked. And for this guy to go around saying that he is against photo op, well, everything that he says is a complete lie, as we already know.
Did man land on the moon in '69?
As far as I know, they did.
Okay.
That's I'm not going to get into that issue.
All right.
I don't care if NASA faked the moon landing.
Some people said it was a staged.
Some people say it was a staged thing. My thing on that is, what is there to gain by staging a moon landing?
Okay, but you bring up an interesting point about the photograph and the quote unquote war room. Where's the Benghazi war room photos?
Well. Those are going to be on an unsavory website because old Barack Obama was in the residence with Reggie Love that night. No, I'm serious. That those are the reports that are circulating around. He was having a little personal time before vacation.
Okay. And is there anything to be deducted from that? Are they...
Well, Joan Rivers about...
Are they friends in more of a friendly way?
Joan Rivers, for those of you who don't know, a couple of weeks ago was caught by a paparazzi entering some event or something like that. I don't know where she was going. But the backstory on this is she had recently officiated a wedding between a lesbian acting couple. And so the photographer was asking her about her opinion on gay marriage and everything. And he offhandedly said, "Oh, do you think we'll ever have a gay president?" And her response to this photographer, her response was, "Oh, sweetie, we already have a gay president. Barack Obama's gay. Michelle Obama's a tranny." I'm sorry, what? You heard me. She's a transsexual, sweetie. It's no big deal. So it seems like it's kind of a well-known thing in different circles that this guy is gay, or at least living on the down low, as they say.
Now, did she specify pre-op or post-op?
We didn't get our hands on that.
Well, okay.
So the bottom line is he's as phony as a $3 bill when he goes around saying that he's not into political theater or about photo ops or anything like that. I mean, you're absolutely right. That's what this guy is all about.
Well, let's, just for the record, get this out. And I don't think we will expound on it too much, but apparently another airline disaster this week. And you posted me quickly. Well, we'll be talking about another Malaysian airline disaster on our show. And I said, well, we know CNN will.
Right.
Because they've not stopped talking about the last one. But
well, now we don't have to look at the border crisis.
Yes. Is this an accident? Is this arms that Russia's providing for rebels in Ukraine? Is it Russia shooting it down? Is America shooting it down?
I don't have those clear answers. Here's what we do know. Within minutes of the plane going down, multiple people were out there immediately blaming Russia for this. Without any investigation or anything like that, officials in America are already going out saying, it's Russia's fault. It's Russia's fault. Russia shot it down. Why would Russia shoot down an airplane that's flying 50 miles from their border? It's obviously a passenger aircraft. That doesn't make any type of sense whatsoever. So I'm not inclined to believe that it's a Russian action.
Well, go ahead.
I'm sorry. I'm not inclined to believe that it's a Russian action. They've also tried to blame this on the Russian-backed separatist rebels that are fighting Ukrainian forces. Now, I don't believe that they have been equipped with the type of missile that would be able to reach that high of an altitude. Apparently, they have what's called, MANPAD or MAPAD missiles. Those can only reach 10,000 feet. This plane was flying at 33,000, which is very interesting. We'll get to that in a second.
Well, some people were saying that there's some capability out there that they think Russia may have given some people that will reach 72,000 feet. But I heard somebody speculate the other night that these rebels may have shot this down by accident, in that they were going after cargo planes and they had posted something on some sort of a website, and after it became knowledge that it was a passenger airliner, that post was taken down.
I've also heard the theory that Ukraine was targeting Putin's airplane, which was supposedly flying in a closer proximity to that aircraft. And they were targeting that plane and accidentally shot down the Malaysian aircraft. I don't know if that's true or not. That's just a rumor that's going out there. I find it very interesting. A couple of things. For those of you who listen to the Hagman and Hagman reports on Blog Talk Radio, or who are familiar with Steve Quayle, they are in contact with a financial insider who goes by the name V, the Guerrilla Economist. And he's provided very, very accurate inside information. He was on the Hagman and Hagman show a couple of months ago saying that there was something that was going to be planned for mid-July that was going to cause a provocation of Russia coming into Ukraine. Well, what do we have starting with last week? Going into this week, we've got Ukraine amping up shelling into Russian territory. And then we have our one of our idiot State Department spokespeople, Jen Psaki, that's P-S-A-K-I. I think we've talked about her in the past. But she said last week that Ukraine has the right to attack civilians. Let that sink in for just a couple moments there. She said Ukraine has the right to attack civilians. And let me pull that article so I can find the exact quote. So that seems to me that she's giving a green light for something of this nature.
Psaki is her name, isn't it?
Psaki, okay. She said, let's see, when asked by an RT reporter, Gayan Chachakian, of civilians who are suffering from the bombing, which is conducted exclusively by the Ukrainian army and not by the anti-Kiev militia, Jen Psaki said that Kiev had the right to do it, so it protects the integrity of the country. She said, quote, "The Ukrainian authorities are protecting the country. I think they have every right to do it. It is the same way to act in the international community," she said. So she's given the green light for Ukraine to attack civilians.
Well, let me get this in before the break, and I want to try to hit on the Israeli-Palestinian thing.
There's one more thing. Ukraine said that they were going to offer amazing evidence as proof that the rebels shot this thing down. So they showed a YouTube video of rebels talking about the plane crash. And this YouTube video, when was it uploaded to YouTube? July 16th. The day before the plane crashed.
Well, this has been Frankly Speaking Live with your host, Frank Holzhauser, and co-host David Kaniuk, and we will return after the break.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
We're in trouble now. Save us! Help! Somebody save us! Somebody help! Help! Save us!
Hi, I'm Tom Coates from Consumer Credit of Des Moines. If your credit card's a little too animated, give us a call.
Hooray! We're saved! Consumer Credit! You're our hero!
Hey, psst. Let me let you in on a little secret. You ready? Always try to do business with people, not places. Especially if you seek honest Christian business people. And when it comes to my car, I really need to trust who's working on it. Now, my family is so blessed. A few years ago, we found a family-owned automobile repair shop that operates as a Christian business also. Open, honest, reliable, trustworthy. It's AMCO on Hickman Road in front of Kmart. And it's a family-owned Christian operating business. This family treats your car as if it was their car. Everything from oil changes to transmission repair and everything in between. So the next time you feel the need to be at peace with your choice of who you can trust with your car, give AMCO on Hickman a chance to serve you. And tell them Max sent you.
See them here, see them there. You got bad credit, we don't care.
Visit emetroford.com for your guaranteed credit approval. Good credit, bad credit, no credit. Everybody drives with guaranteed credit approval at emetroford.com. Visit emetroford.com today.
If Tom Coates from Consumer Credit of America was your personal webmaster, Tom would filter out all bad debt emails. If Tom was your mailman, you'd never get any debt reduction junk mail. If Tom Coates was a lineman, he'd block any phone calls offering to reduce your credit card debt.
Hi, I'm Tom Coates with Consumer Credit of America, and we're still your best choice for credit counseling. We're local, we're accountable, and we can do more. You make the call when the time's right for you.
When it comes to competition, there really is none for Consumer Credit of America.
And we're back with Frankly Speaking Live. I'm your host, Frank Holzhauser, and my co-host, David Kanyuk. And he wanted to wrap up a point on the Malaysian airline crisis, if we can call it
Malaysian airline crisis, the sequel.
The sequel.
Yeah, I just wanted to wrap up a couple things before we move on. First off, wanted to read something real quick. It is possible to create an incident. This is a blast from the past. It is possible to create an incident which will demonstrate convincingly that a Cuban aircraft has attacked and shot down a chartered civil airliner en route from the United States to Jamaica, Guatemala, Panama, or Venezuela. The destination would be chosen only to cause the flight plan route to cross Cuba. The passengers could be a group of college students off on a holiday or any grouping of persons with a common interest to chartering a non-scheduled flight. An aircraft at Elgin Air Force Base would be painted and numbered as an exact duplicate for a civil registered aircraft belonging to a CIA proprietary organization in the Miami area. At a designated time, the duplicate would be substituted for the actual civil aircraft and would be loaded with the selected passengers, all boarded under carefully prepared aliases. The actual registered aircraft would be converted to a drone. Takeoff times of the drone aircraft and the actual aircraft would be scheduled to allow a rendezvous south of Florida. From the rendezvous point, the passenger-carrying aircraft will descend to a minimum altitude and go directly to an auxiliary field at Elgin Air Force Base, where arrangements will have been made to evacuate the passengers and return the aircraft to its original status. The drone aircraft, meanwhile, will continue to fly the filed flight plan. When over Cuba, the drone will begin transmitting on the international distress frequency a Mayday message stating he is under attack by a Cuban MiG aircraft. The transmission will be interrupted by destruction of the aircraft, which will be triggered by radio signal. This will allow ICAO radio stations in the Western Hemisphere to tell the United States what has happened to the aircraft instead of the United States trying to sell the incident. That is directly quoted from Operation Northwoods, which was a plan to try and frame Cuba for war. And this was approved by the Joint Chiefs of Staff back in the 1960s. I just wanted to say that because that sounds eerily similar to what may have happened with Malaysian Flight 370 and now with this one. It sure does feel like something out of Northwoods. And I'm not saying that's what it is, but for those of you not knowing,
Just saying.
Go look up Operation Northwoods. And for those of you who research the Illuminati or the men behind the shadows, whatever, I hate to even bring this up because you kind of sound wackadoodle bringing it up. But 33 is you see the number 33 as kind of a calling card of a staged event, and I just found it very interesting that the plane was flying at 33,000 feet. You see that repeated over, and I know that's really heavily conspiratorial, but that's just an interesting thing. But go look up Operation Northwoods. My contention is this was a staged event. They're going to try and bring Russia into a war. And we see now breaking that the Pentagon is saying that Russian troops are now massing near the Ukrainian border. This is all going right as what the guerrilla economist, said would happen in mid-July. It seems to be happening right on schedule. And I'll yield back the balance of my time.
Well, thank you, Senator Kanyuk from the great state of Iowa. I wanted to talk about what set off my fine week. I was having a rather depressing week and month, and then this hit me upside the head. I just love these, quote, drive-by racism accusations by Obama and Holder with no evidence. Then they will say, well, it's not everyone, but a segment of people hate us because of our race. It's a small segment, but yet they think it's enough worthy mention. They never name names, so it's this shadowy, lurky presence that you must trust them exists. Well, for me, I hate liberals. I hate black liberals. I hate white liberals. I hate men liberals. I hate women liberals. I hate old liberals. I hate young liberals. I hate brown liberals. I hate yellow liberals. I hate red liberals. I hate crippled liberals. I hate midget liberals. I hate green Martian liberals. Do you see a theme here? I hate liberalism. I don't hate black fool communist liberals any more than I hate white fool communist liberals. So Obama and Holder, take your racism charges, wad them up, turn them sideways, and stick them in your...
If you smell...
if you smell what the rock is cooking. Well, you figure that out. Because I would say your monkey rears, but you'd say that was racist. So
that's a good point. I never thought about that. All those years ago, The Rock was just being racist. I don't want to say I hate liberalism. I hate what liberalism has morphed into.
Sure.
Which is not classical liberalism in the vein of Thomas Jefferson.
I agree with you.
Right. It's fascist authoritarianism is what people who profess to be liberals really are.
You hate what liberalism morphed into.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
Exactly.
Fair point.
No, it's absolutely ridiculous what he's saying. You're right. Name names. If somebody's being racist, who's being racist? What about opposition to Obama is being racist? The fact of the matter is they're just trying to chill any type of opposition whatsoever. And Holder said something else this week as well. He was talking about, whoa, I'm knocking down the whole thing. He was saying that homegrown violent extremists are what keep him up at night.
You're not ready to fall off.
Yeah, I got it now. We're
Okay.
good. Okay, homegrown violent... First day on the radio. Homegrown violent extremists are what keep me up at night. He says that these lone wolves, these homegrown violent extremists, are people who keep me up at night as well, said Holder. Trying to monitor them. Oh, we need the NSA. Trying to anticipate what it is they're going to do. And the experience that we had in Boston, which is a total false flag that was carried out by the government. This was not two lone wolves from Chechnya or whatever. And the experience that we had in Boston is instructive. It only takes one or two people to really do something horrific. Yeah, the one or two people would be you and your boss, Barack Obama, that would do something horrific. Holder doesn't care what's coming up from the border. He doesn't care that we ran guns to violent gangs in Mexico as part of Fast and Furious. He doesn't care that we're funding the Free Syrian Army. We tried to start a war with by supplying them with chemical weapons last year. Doesn't care that we're funding ISIS. Nope, it's the white patriots that he worries about. And the extremism that he's referring to, that's just a code word for people who are beholden to the Constitution. Anybody who opposes Obama is either a racist or an extremist. And it's just a way to chill any type of opposition, any type of free speech.
We've talked about this for several weeks. A couple weeks in a row was our theme of shutting down speech. Mm-hmm. And I just think it's in today's society, it's the ultimate way to try to shut somebody up. For whatever reason, you toss out the racism charge, like LBJ said, just get the SOB to deny it.
Right, exactly.
And then you've got them on the defensive. Well, I'm not a racist. Look, I've got black friends, and they start listing off the black people they know. And when you're putting somebody on the defensive about speech, you've won the argument.
Right. And meanwhile, he's trying to justify the whole spy militarization apparatus that's been set up in this country, the police state, if you will, that's been set up in this country. He's trying to justify that. And then even outlets like the New York Times have admitted that all of these homegrown terrorism plots have been cooked up originally by the FBI. These are people that are being enticed into coming up with these plots by the FBI. They're being funded, and then the FBI catches them and grandstands on the capture of these people.
Well, my question is, short of Obama leaving office, and there's speculation that he'll never leave. There's some speculation that I heard somebody say that he's not going to support Hillary in 2016 if the world gets that far, and that he's searching for his own mini-me to be his replacement. He's actually searching for his own replacement. So, short of the guy leaving office, what do you do?
Well, I think it's time to impeach him. And here's the thing: they can't even play the racism card that much anymore, because even black people are starting to turn against Obama. I've seen so many stories this week about how black people are so upset about what's going on at the border because they see the turmoil that's going on in their own inner city. They see homeless people who are out on the streets. They don't get any assistance. They see people going hungry in the streets. They don't get any assistance. Yet we're bringing all these people up from Mexico and Guatemala and whatever down south. We're bringing all these people up here and funding them. So black people are starting to turn against Obama.
There's a certain segment of the black population that is wising up.
They even, who's the documentary filmmaker? He made Dreams from My Real Father last year. Joel, I can't think of his last name, but he's got a new documentary that's coming out. You remember back during the campaign in 2008, you remember that woman from the YouTube clip when she was asked why she supports Obama? I ain't going to have to worry about my mortgage. I ain't going to have to worry about my job. I'm going to have to worry about putting gas in my car.
Yeah,
he found her.
Yeah.
He found her for this new documentary. He knocks on her door. He presents her with a pair of ruby slippers because she's Dorothy in The Wizard of Oz. She has totally flipped and done a 180. She says that she felt like she was caught up in that moment. And I'm contending that there's a spiritual aspect to Barack Obama, an evil spiritual aspect that infects people when he's around them. But no, she's come to her senses and realizes that Barack Obama has been absolutely terrible. So my point is that somebody who was as dyed in the wool as her, that she was able to say, oh, I'm not going to have to do anything because Barack Obama is going to save me. If she's able to see the light, then certainly this racism card is just wearing thin.
Personally, in my opinion, I think blacks have more in common with conservatism than they do with the Democratic Party.
Absolutely.
But Rush Limbaugh has said this a number of times on his program, talking about the blacks and the battered wife syndrome. And it seems if this voting bloc votes in lockstep, 90%, for any Democrat they toss out there, they get ignored after the election is over, and they start hollering, "Well, where's these promises that you proclaim that you was going to fulfill?" The promises go, the promises go by the wayside, and then the election rolls around, and they come back with the flowers and the candy and the love affair again, like the battered woman. And my contention is that black people should wake up, think for themselves, not have a spokesperson like Spike Lee or Jesse Jackson, Al Sharpton. Speak for yourself. Use your own mind that God give you, and vote your heart, vote your conscience.
Yeah, because Jesse Jackson and Al Sharpton, they're about keeping them down so they can keep themselves up. Martin Luther King wasn't about that. Martin Luther King was about raising people up. He's about getting people in a better status in life.
Well, this has been Frankly Speaking Live with your host, Frank Holzhauser, and my co-host, David Kanyuk. And hopefully we'll have a next half hour because we didn't last week. So we will see you after the break.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
I'm Brian Leach, owner and general manager of Service Legends. I brought along a couple of the home comfort heroes.
Hi, I'm Tammy Wells.
I am Nick Wondershide.
I'm administrative manager.
I'm the senior technician
from Service Legends.
It seems like every good thing, when you feel it to the bone that it's good, there's a lot of hard work put behind it. I don't think that you can fake it and have it turn out good.
If we seem like, okay, that's just weird, it's just a furnace, why would you believe so deeply in a furnace? It's not just that, we want to show the world that you can have good service.
Yeah, it's your home.
It's built into our daily trainings, it's built into our culture, that we're gonna do whatever it takes to have each client say they love us, period.
That's why we spend all the hours in the training that we do. And if we guarantee it's gonna be a good experience for you, or else it's free, what type of work do you think we're gonna do?
There is a guarantee.
Temperature selection guarantee, fixed right or it's free guarantee, comfort guarantee, best value guarantee. All of these guarantees hold us accountable to ensuring that we exceed your expectations. And if for whatever reason we'd fail and we can't make it right, we guarantee all of those guarantees with a 100% money back guarantee.
If you don't think that your technician can fix it right, are you gonna say that to a client? No.
You don't have to worry about having a technician come to your house.
We drug test, background check all of our team members. We put safe people in your home. Each and every one of our service techs, 400 hours a year in training.
You tell it the minute they walk in the door. They know what they're doing, they've done their homework, and they actually truly care about what you want.
Because at the end of the day, you're the person that makes sure I have a job.
They're gonna be listening. They're gonna wanna know what your challenges are. Then they're gonna come and give you options, and you get to choose.
If I'm there to help and I make it easy and painless, I did my job right that day.
Well, when it comes to your comfort, safety, and your family, you don't necessarily go buy the most expensive, but you get the most bang for your buck.
Oh, it's worth it, because there's a lot of people that will find a way to get it to work right now and then leave and then come back, charge you again, and the cycle just repeats itself. So when I'm out there looking at the furnace, I want to find why it failed today. How can we change the part today with something that you're not going to have to worry about? Is it worth changing the part today? You can put a lot of money into a furnace. I can fix parts all day. There's good job security in that for me. But is it the right thing for you?
I get a lot of the phone calls of after the technicians are there. They're just in awe. They're like, wow, you guys are great. I don't even know what to say. You guys are great. Everything you did was perfect. It was great.
Keep going though. I like this.
Just give us a try. I'm gonna take all the risk.
I've got the time to make this right. I've got the support to make it right.
Just check us out.
And if you don't see the value in what we do,
fixed right or it's free or 100% money back.
Enough said.
And we're back with Frankly Speaking Live. I'm your host, Frank Holzhauser, and my co-host, David Kanyuk. While I'm on my Facebook here, I just happened to land on this, so I thought it worthy mention. Ed Klein, who we mentioned several weeks ago, who on Sean Hannity's show had interviewed the Reverend Jeremiah Wright and said that he did not know for sure that Obama had ever converted to Christianity from Islam.
Oh, of course not. Look at his actions. Look who he's funding. He funds the Muslim Brotherhood. He funds the Free Syrian Army extremists, the ISIS extremists, and Hamas even admits, hell, they admit ISIS or ISIL, whatever they're calling themselves, are funded by the U.S. So yeah, his actions are totally about funding people that are going to burn down Christian churches and crucify Christians.
Ed Klein's new Hillary book, has now outsold Hillary's own Hillary book. According to Klein, Michelle hates Hillary with a refers to her as a Hildebeest. And according to the book, and this is just excerpts I've heard from the book, so I haven't actually read to find out if there's more to the story, but according to the book, Hillary and Barack had a physical altercation. Now, I wonder what side the Secret Service jumped in, and were they fighting amongst each other? Or...
That's a good question.
But Barack and I believe that, I think this is evident, but Barack and Michelle cannot stand each other, travel separately as much as possible. The Obama and Clintons get along about like the Hatfields and McCoys. According to a number of people, Barack will not support Hillary in 2016 because he's searching for his own mini-me. And Hillary is peed royal about Klein's book, Look for More Shoes to Drop.
You say Barack and Hillary had a physical altercation?
Well, now you can take that one of two ways.
Well, here's how I take it. I take it that Michelle couldn't have the physical altercation with Hillary because it's not polite for a man to hit a woman.
Sure.
But it was all right for Barack because it's two women.
Yes, I suppose. Here's a question for you. Speaking of Secret Service, this is off the wall question. Speaking of Secret Service, if a president of the United States actually got imprisoned, would he have to have Secret Service protection in prison? And would the Secret Service, in essence, spend as much time in the penal system as the president? And would they be? And if they were in prison, would they be armed?
I think the president, and I have no idea, but just logically, I think the president would be stripped of those privileges for violating the law.
Well, this is why most likely Gerald Ford pardoned Richard Nixon, and most logically why most presidents would proceed would I just lost the word.
Pardon
their predecessor.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's silly. I mean, granted, Richard Nixon's crimes were not the most heinous that have ever been committed, but
well, at that,
I don't know.
At that point, Nixon was threatening to out every president. He at the time said that his crimes were no worse than any of the other presidents in history, and that if they tried to impeach him, he was going to go out kicking and screaming, and he was going to out every president dirty little secret because he had access to, I suppose, Hoover's FBI files on all the dirty laundry of all of them. And he was going to out everybody. And of course, the Republicans got to him and said, hey, for the betterment of the party, step aside.
Yeah. And Nixon was a guy who had enough honor to actually step aside. And that's the problem. We don't have people with enough honor to do that anymore. We don't have people with enough honor to go after these presidents who are committing much, much, much worse crimes.
And Hillary at the time was a staff lawyer, and I think that there was a debate between her and Ed Kennedy. And Ed Kennedy, I think it was Hillary wanted to leave him. I think Hillary was wanting to impeach him. But Edward Kennedy was wanting to leave him in office to dangle because he figured more damage by him being there than just getting out of it.
Right, and that's kind of the Pat Buchanan take on it right now. He's come out saying, no, let's not impeach him. Let's leave him in office for 2 years so we can run against him. Problem with that is that you've got 2 more years for this guy to use his dictatorial pen and phone and do more damage to the country, pull off a false flag attack and get us into a crisis situation so he can suspend elections. And I don't put that beyond him. These are the same people who have purchased 2 billion rounds of ammunition.
They want to leave it to the courts, but by the time it makes it in the courts, he'll be out of office.
Exactly. So that's why you have to go impeach him. And I agree with Sarah Palin 100% on this. You have to impeach him because you have to set that warning against future presidents that certain things will not be tolerated.
Well, I spent more time on that segment than I wanted to, so let's get to the border situation before we run too much out of time.
All right.
And apparently I heard something this week, and I've seen some other posts and things on it that may be a little more conspiratorial. But I did hear that our government is offering foster care parents $6,500 a year to take in some of these children from the border.
That's absolutely correct. I don't think I have that story printed out with me, but let me just try and go without all this. Yes, that is correct. This is an orchestrated crisis. This is not just a bunch of random people who said, hey, you know what's a great idea? America. And you know what would be an even better idea? If I put my 8-year-old son on a train and send him thousands of miles north and put him in the hands of some coyotes out there who will get him up there, and then put him in the hands of God knows who in the American government. That's a really good idea. Hey, Pepe, why don't we do that? Hey, not a problem. Hey, maybe we'll do that with my kids. Hey, Gonzalez, why don't you send your kids up there? This isn't that situation. This is an orchestrated move that's been perpetrated by the U.S. government, by the Mexican government, and by these other governments. This is a shattering of our borders. This is an attempt to overwhelm our welfare, our medical, our border security. This is an attempt to overwhelm all of those things. Did you know that the fedops.biz website had requests out there for escorts for illegal children? Well, they didn't call them illegal children, but they had undocumented migrants, I think is what they called them. They had those requests for people to act as escorts out back in January. So how are you anticipating this crisis back on January? Unless it's orchestrated. What else did I want to get in on this? So yeah, it's all a work. And then the whole concept of calling them refugees is very dangerous, in my opinion, because then that gives the United Nations
political asylum.
Exactly. It gives the United Nations means to step in. It gives them motive to step in to the border regions and take over as the authority of those border regions. Did you know that the United States government contends that territory from the border up to 100 miles inland, they call that territory constitutional free zone? Absolutely. You can go look that up. They contend that that's a constitutional free zone. So why not have the UN come in? And then you have people like Glenn Beck, who's out there saying, you know what? I'm just going to go. We have to be more compassionate. I'm going to go down to the border, and I'm going to give soccer balls and blankets to the little children. Total government mouthpiece.
Well, let me ask you this, because Obama administration is blaming the Bush administration for a law that went into effect that had something to do with these countries on political asylum and the sexual trade and abuse of minors. And it was supposed to be if they could get to the country, they would have a hearing, And this has been in effect since I think they said 07,
Right.
06, 07,
They
08,
would have a
somewhere in
hearing,
it.
so they're kind of exploiting that rule.
But my question is, given that is true for the sake of this argument, and I'm not disputing it is or it isn't, but why now all of a sudden, under Obama, are they coming in droves?
I don't know. I don't.
What signal is he given?
That's a good question, and I'm not sure what that signal was or how that all came about. But it is very sudden, and sudden things don't happen like that unless it's planned out. Like I said, people down in the border regions like that, people don't just decide, hey, let's give our children to a foreign government.
Well, you know,
with hopes that we'll be able to get in.
You know, Barack and Hillary are both students of Saul Alinsky.
Absolutely. And this is all part of the Cloward and Piven plan, which is to overwhelm our resources to collapse the country. And I think the end game ultimately is to collapse the borders of the United States, Mexico, and Canada into that North American Union agreement, which was part of the Security Prosperity Partnership, which was signed in by George W. Bush back, I believe, in 2007. And I want to applaud our governor, Terry Branstad, who has said that he doesn't want to house illegal immigrants in the state of Iowa.
Until he gets blackmailed.
And I found something in my search for employment. Not that I'm unemployed, but just always looking to see what's out there. I found a couple of very interesting things. The first one I found was for the Waukee Community School District. They're looking for Spanish interpreters. They're looking for somebody who is able to facilitate cross-cultural communication for non-English speaking parents of all ages, provide language interpretation as Spanish-speaking parents interface with non-Spanish teachers, provide written translation services, etc., etc., etc. This was posted on July 15th. This is, again, the Waukee Community School District. They're offering $35 an hour, by the way, if you're interested. And then the West Des Moines, the West Des Moines School District is looking for Spanish teachers for kindergartners. Now, my question is how large is the Spanish-speaking population in the suburb of Waukee, which is kind of an affluent suburb, and West Des Moines? Because this isn't the South Side that we're talking about here.
Sure.
So I'm wondering, are they expecting kind of a secret influx of immigrants into that region?
Was it the Nebraska governor?
Right.
Said that
they weren't even notifying the Nebraska governor, in a total violation of the sovereignty of that state, that they were placing these illegals into his state. And I think they're going to try and bring him in under Terry Branstad's nose. And I don't know for sure if that's what's going to happen, but this kind of leads me to believe.
Much like the speed limit, much like the Martin Luther holiday, much like the Martin Luther streets that are named after Martin Luther, if the government don't get their way, they'll eventually blackmail you into it.
Let me just say, call up the Waukee Community School District, 515-987-5161. Ask them how large their Spanish-speaking population is. Call up the West Des Moines School District, 515-633-5000. Ask them the same question. Find out, is this what's going on?
Frankly Speaking Live with your host, Frank Holzhauser, and co-host David Kaniuk. And when we get back, we will try to hit the Palestinian-Israel conflict.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
See them here, see them there. You got bad credit, we don't care.
Visit emetroford.com for your guaranteed credit approval. Good credit, bad credit, no credit. Everybody drives with guaranteed credit approval at emetroford.com. Visit emetroford.com today.
If Tom Coates from Consumer Credit of America was your personal webmaster, Tom would filter out all bad debt emails. If Tom was your mailman, you'd never get any debt reduction junk mail. If Tom Coates was a lineman, he'd block any phone calls offering to reduce your credit card debt.
Hi, I'm Tom Coates with Consumer Credit of America, and we're still your best choice for credit counseling. We're local, we're accountable, and we can do more. You make the call when the time's right for you.
When it comes to competition, there really is none for Consumer Credit of America.
Hey, what's wrong? Logan wants Let's Rock Elmo for his birthday, but since Steve lost his job, I don't think we can afford it. What did you do for money last year when you and John were struggling to make ends meet?
My secret? I went to Me and Mommy to Be. We sold all of Megan and Ryan's clothes and toys there. They give back the highest percentage on their items in the area. And it was so easy.
Megan's clothes? She's 15.
Yes, they can sign newborn through trendy teens. We're not struggling now, but I'm gonna keep saving and making money at Me and Mommy to Be.
And we're back with Frankly Speaking Live. I'm your host, Frank Holzhauser, and my co-host, David Kanyuk, and, of course, Ryan producing. I got my hypocrite of the week out of the way right off the bat at the start of the show, but you had one that you wanted to mention.
I did. I had one that really, just like Holder stuck in your craw, Chuck Schumer really stuck in my craw this past
now,
weekend.
Now, hang on a second.
Yeah.
You're referring to Chuck U. Schumer.
Exactly. Schumer to religious. Listen to this headline. Schumer to religious Americans, pick one, your faith or your business. At a press conference Thursday, Senator Chuck Schumer said people with religious beliefs who disagree with the Obamacare contraception mandate should be given a choice between living by their faith or by being allowed to form a corporation to do business. You're born with a religion or you adopt a religion. You have to obey the precepts of that religion, and the government gives you a wide penumbra. You don't have to form a corporation, Schumer said. In the Hobby Lobby case decided last month, the Supreme Court ruled that a closely held family-owned corporation could not be forced by the government to violate their Christian beliefs by providing insurance coverage for drugs and devices that can cause abortions. Schumer argues that the court misapplied the Religious Freedom Restoration Act. When we wrote the RFRA back in 1993, we did so to protect individuals with strong religious beliefs and give them the presumption that they have always enjoyed, that they should be able to exercise their religious beliefs without interference from the government, Schumer said. But now he wants to interfere. He says that we wouldn't tell the owners of Hobby Lobby to convert to a different religion or disobey their religion. Well, yes, you are trying to do that. But we don't say that they have to open up a company and go sell toys or hobby kits. Think about that. Think about where we are in this country that somebody would even be able, a senator, a legislator, someone who's supposed to be a representative in the government would even say that you have to pick one between being able to pursue life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, getting to have religious freedom.
Well, first off, Chuck Schumer is Jewish, correct?
Right.
Okay. Now, my contention is, and I've always asked this question to myself and out loud, why would any self-respecting Jew, and I don't know if he's of the Orthodox variety, who is wanting to reinstitute the animal sacrifice and is looking forward to the Messiah, but I can only assume that if they think the Messiah is yet to be born, why would they support abortion?
He supports the Messiah. It's not our Messiah. It's not going to be Lord Jesus, but it's going to be a Messiah that comes down, and they claim it's going to be the Messiah. But my thing is, why would someone who claims to be Jewish be saying that you have to pick between your faith or your business? Why? He's basically saying that if you're of faith, don't open a business. He's saying that if you're of faith, you should be run out of business.
Does the guy remember Hitler at all?
I don't know. That's a really good question. My contention is, well, what? Should Christians just paint a cross over their door of their establishments?
I mean, Hitler wasn't much about freedom of religion and freedom of, they were, fascists?
Right. And that's what Chuck Schumer is. He's a Nazi fascist.
Well,
he's in the same league as Hitler.
I put good old Chuck Schumer to your post, and you just come back at me and said, well, he's a Nazi. And I said, well, he must be a Jew-Nazi sympathizer.
Well, maybe he's like George Soros. George Soros is Jewish, and he proudly brags about how he used to help the Nazis gather up his people.
Well,
back in the day.
I've often said I pledge allegiance and I give oath to two things: my country and God, my Savior. And if it ever comes to a choice between the two, well, let's just say God won't lose. So I'm going to ride this country and the freedoms it affords me until they shut down freedom of religion, freedom of speech, and possibly go as far as extending a national day of worship.
It's amazing that we can persecute somebody in this country for the idea that he said that, oh, well, I don't want black people to come to the basketball game for the team that I owned.
Sure.
It's amazing that we can persecute somebody for that, yet nothing happens to a guy who says, if you are a person of faith, you cannot be allowed to have a business.
Well, quickly, with the 4 minutes we have left, let's just touch on this Israeli border crisis and the fact that they're possibly sending ground troops into Gaza. And, of course, the rest of the free world always wants Israel to exercise restraint. Now, if you're getting missiles lobbed in, they done a ratio of this. The number of people that would be equivalent in the America to being in a fallout shelter would be 200 million people if the ratio was the same. Would our country tolerate that? No, they wouldn't.
No.
But yet we're constantly, the focus is always put on Israel to show restraint. Obama seems to be AWOL in the crisis. He seems to be off fundraising, seems doing whatever, with every crisis we have, he's fundraising.
Well, Obama, he's a Muslim. He's probably loving it.
Well, what do you think? What do you think about this crisis, number one? Number two, is Israel justified in what they're doing? Should they show restraint? What's your general opinion on the situation?
If the story is as it's being told to us, that Hamas is being a bunch of jerks and lobbing missile after missile after missile in with no regard, then yeah, Israel's doing the right thing. My question is the same as it was last week. Why is Hamas suddenly, just like the border, why is Hamas suddenly doing this? Where are they getting their green light? Is it Hamas, or is it people posing as Hamas, maybe people from ISIS?
Well, we go through this in a cyclical manner. It seems like about every couple years, we have this same crisis. Mm-hmm. And as I mentioned last week, the little anecdotal story about flicking the rock on the back of the dogs, we have this cyclical crisis. It's the same result happens. As soon as Israel starts getting tough and wanting to wipe these people out, then all of a sudden they start crying restraint, and that Israel's the aggressor.
Right.
When they're just self-defending themselves. And even though I don't necessarily care for Israel, and I care for Palestine a whole lot less than I care for Israel, but the country has a right. If we're going to set them up in 1948 and restore them back to their quote-unquote promised land, the people have a right to defend their life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness, so to speak.
Right, and I totally agree with that. And again, my question is, who's back there pulling the strings, and why is this happening now? What is the end game of this operation?
Well, we'll get into that next week. This has been Frankly Speaking, live with your host, Frank Holzhauser, and my co-host, David Kanyuk, and we will try once again to pick up and really get in and unpack this Israel-Palestine crisis.